What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we have a head unit upgrade for our EK Civic. As you can see, we have a lovely, nice touchscreen head unit. This one specifically is from Joy-Con. It is a 9-inch universal touchscreen head unit. Essentially what we have in front of us here, of course, is our main Fascia kit, which our touchscreen will just simply plunk into like that, and everything else we have to make it work. We have the main head unit part of it. We have some wiring to do and a connector to fit this to our car. Normally there would be no wiring. For some reason my plug is a little bit different, so I'm gonna have to splice these two together. Don't worry, you can buy off-the-shelf parts, fortunately. All right, first things first, we're just gonna sort out our wiring really quickly just so it's ready to go later on. Like I said, normally you wouldn't have to do any wiring whatsoever. As far as I know, maybe my guess is up to 98 maybe for a facelift, they moved to like a fat plug like that. All I know is going on AirPro's website, if you plug in an EK Civic, it's gonna show up with this no matter what. But if you go to a 2000 to 2005, the next generation, it will show you the right plug. It will be this sort of fat plug with these two connectors on, and that's what we want. We want this guy right there. So in order for me to make it work for now, I'm just gonna have to cut, rewire. Obviously, if I had heat shrink on me, I'll do this properly. I don't, I'm just gonna get it done so it works at least. So yeah, I'm just gonna snip both ends, strip some wires back, rewire it together. Fortunately, all the colors are the same and they'll match up to each other, so it's fairly straightforward. What we will do is just simply cut them while giving us a little bit of extra room. Okay, like so. That should give us enough room to strip some wires back and comfortably be able to solder them. Do is cut them as close to the plug as we can. So now we have our three pieces. We keep our plug, everything's already where it needs to be. All we have to do is just match up our colors. Essentially, you've got one side which is like your ground power, blah, blah, blah. And then this side which is like all your speakers. We all cut up and ready now, baby. Let's go. Where's my electrical tape? That's the real question. Yeah, this is all boring, so I'm just gonna fast forward through all this so you don't have to watch this. All right, finally, we're done. We're done. It took a while, but we did it. My back actually hurts from bending over the whole time. All right, now we have this. This will go into the car, of course. Now these two are gonna plug into this guy here, which again, same colored plugs, so it makes it nice and easy. And then only this plug will go into the back of our main head unit, and that will go to our touchscreen. So, as you can see, it's technically plug and play. I just had the wrong plug. This is only temporary, don't worry. For you keyboard warriors out there about to get on my case for not doing it properly, I don't care. It's temporary, all right? It's fine. So that's what we have now. Next, we're gonna jump inside of the car so we can have a look at what we have to do next. All right, we are back in the car. The head unit, mine was never really in properly in the first place, and I had to get the wire out so I could resolder as I did earlier. So this is already out of the way. Essentially, we want to pull off this plastic surround fascia kit. To do that, I have this really small flathead to pry behind these buttons to pop them out. And then from there, I think with enough gentle force, the rest of the fascia, or the rest of the kit should just pop out, I think, unless there are some screws that I'm missing. So I pulled this down just to have a look earlier, but I think there's a bolt there that has to come. But I'm not 100% sure, so that's what I've done for now. But I will go ahead and try to get the rest of this out now. Yeah, just a quick update, guys. Yeah, not much has been done. Okay, let's go from the top. So I had to get this surrounding out so I could access the side clips to this guy, because this guy has to get removed later. He had screws along the side, very simple. I had to get this underneath panel out, which was this one here. So that guy had screws coming along the side. And to access some of those screws, I had to pull this out. Ooh, that's awful. So this had to come out, and that had, you know, multiple screws. So once that was out, I could pull this out, which means I could pull the rest of this out. You still with me? This blue cable, that's this guy. So it's important that you unhook it, unclip it. Later on, I'll show you how to reinstall it, because we have to actually trim it. But now that's out, we can get our whole head unit out, thankfully. There are a bajillion screws. Make sure you don't lose any, because that won't be ideal. But I was so paranoid of breaking anything, because you can't exactly get new clips and things for this. So, all right. Okay, I need 2 hands for this, so I'm gonna pull this out real quick. Just give us a sec. Okay, there we are. Quite a lot to take out. In order for this to properly pull out, you've got your plugs on the back, of course. So this guy, that will be our radio. That's our clock. This guy goes into your climate control, along with this guy. This was our antenna. I no longer have one, because I put a block off plate there, because I didn't really like the look of my Manky one. This is just your domestic hazards. These two can stay there. You don't really need to touch them. What we do need to do is relocate our climate controls. Now, they'll be going down here, essentially. So there's a bit of dremeling and a bit of cutting out to do, but we'll do that soon. What we are gonna do is take off our vents, and we have to transplant them to our next fascia kit, which I've got hiding over there. So that is our current next step. We'll glue the new vents on, and then we'll get ahead to relocating our climate controls. All right, I don't want to know how long I just spent trying to get this vent on. It wasn't awfully hard, but it's very, very fiddly. But we've got ourselves a vent. Getting it working, there's like a little, where is it? There's a little thing you have to align in there to make sure that it still functions, so it pans and sweeps still. But we got this one in, it took far too long, but that's all right. So the steps to do this: we will grab our screwdriver. We are going to pry. I've got one hand at the moment. We're going to pry underneath here, and we're just going to pop it out. I'll chuck you guys up here to watch, and we'll try to do this cleanly like we just did. So hopefully you will crack your fascia kit, but you know, we're not really using it anymore, so that's all right.
5 hours later.
Sweet. Okay, so these two guys here will hold the ends of our sort of fans together, and they will sit in those side grooves there. What we need to do now is I gotta clean out this bottom row, just make sure there's no leftover plastic, but I have to clean out the top ones as well. So this is a bit harder because it didn't really snap too cleanly, but just grab the Dremel if you have one, but you'll need something to clean these extra pieces out. So I'm gonna see if I can still snap this off just to make things a bit easier, but that's essentially how you do it. The other one came out a lot cleaner than this one did, but nonetheless, that's what we have to do. So I'll grab my Dremel now and I'll try and get that out. Took me absolutely ages, but we have got this sorted now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill our gaps in there just full of glue, and then we're just gonna smack it on and zip tie it, just like the other one is. And then we'll have to let it dry overnight. And now we want to grab our zip tie and chuck it over. Mint. Just to be sure, I'm just going to dab a bunch of glue around the edges of it, just to make sure it's strong. I was using clear Gorilla Glue. It says it should be fine for some plastics, or most plastics, so I'm just assuming this is fine. So if it falls apart when I take the zip ties off, we'll have to do it again. Schmeck. And those are our vents, so we'll just let this dry overnight now. All right, it is the next morning. We have let our glue dry overnight. So our vents are now nice and placed in there. So this is all ready to go to receive our head unit, but we will come back to this. First, we have to relocate our climate control. In order to do that, we have to cut this piece up. I've already started trimming the top, but I believe I have to cut everything out except for our side brackets there. So I'll be cutting there and there with the Dremel just to clear out everything there. And if we go take a look inside of the car, we can see where our climate control is going to sit. I'll have to re-drill some slots for these holes here just to make sure they line up properly. And then this guy will essentially sit over the top like that. And then we can put everything back together. And then we have to deal with our cable there. We have to trim to size to make it fit a bit better. So what we're going to do is go ahead and trim the excess plastic off our tray, I guess. And then we will trim up some of the edges of the heater or the climate control unit just to make it sit a bit better. So this is what we've got to do now. So we're going ahead and cut this up. I might have to like trim up the edges a bit more, I'm not sure. So we'll just have to sort of test fit and then go over it again until we get it right. Because I think essentially that's gonna sit over the top like that. So the top hole on this will sit on the bottom hole. So yeah, it looks like I have to trim that excess off there, so I'll do that now. All right, I think we have found our potential spot for our climate control. If we take a look here, we've got it in, it's all nice and sturdy. I haven't actually plugged it in yet, but we've got our little plastic piece here on the backside there is run through with a screw along with this. So that's what's holding all of that together. I could re-drill and cut a better hole for that, but I'm just going to leave it as is because it's not moving. It's pretty sturdy, and that's how it's going to sit. I still have to trim that blue cable that runs our temperature, but that's going to, I'll do that last pretty much because it's, you know, it's not an urgent task. The main thing is we get this head unit in. So I'll pull this out, I'll plug it in, and then we'll get started on putting our head unit in. All right, as far as I can tell, we're ready to install our head unit. So first off, we'll get the screen put in and fixed to our fascia. This guy here has 4 little mounting holes on the corner, which simply slide your screen in, and there'll be 4 screw holes to put, and the bag comes with them. So we're going to chuck that in now. Okay, there we go, that is our screen. Next up, we're just gonna install the main brains of the screen really. So our actual head unit piece to our screen comes with those 4 clip-in holes and this ribbon cable. So we'll attach the ribbon cable and clip it in place. Boom, just like that. That is the main part sorted. This guy here is if you have a SIM card. I'm not choosing to put one in, so this is sort of just wasted cable on me really. But then you do have the options to put a GPS in this, which I will probably be doing, which it'll just screw in there. So I'll have to run the cable and get this sorted before I put it in. From there, we just have our main cables. This end here will go directly onto our head unit. We can ignore all these extra cables here. And this guy here, this is what our ISO connectors will plug into, and then this into the actual car. So we'll go ahead, jump into the car and put this in. All right, we're back in the car. We're just gonna go ahead and plug everything in and then just throw it in. There's now a lot of cabling, to be fair. Okay, that was easier than I thought it'd be. Gotta plug in our hazard lights and our demister. So hopefully this will be easy to do. But before that, I need to put the screws in there. That's probably the best thing to do. That way. Oh, look at that. I do have a confession to make. I have one working vent. So on these louvers here, they go up and down. They're held on like a daisy chain to make sure they'll move. I accidentally dropped this one. None of them are actually gonna work, which kind of sucks. Not so bad because I don't have aircon at the moment, but I'll never be able to tilt them properly. I tried to like guess where I'm gonna be seated so it's aimed at me at least, but it's good enough. But aside from that, these buttons are very clean looking. Considering it's, you know, cheap Chinese plastic, I thought it would fit a little less well than it has. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've got a bunch of loose cabling I need to like sort of tuck up, and then we can put in all our trims again. So what I will do is I will tuck away all the wires, and then I'm going to put everything back together, and then we'll see how it looks once we're done. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, everything is back together. You can ignore our ECU wiring. I'm going to relocate that to the glove box later. But what we are focusing on is what we've done. Our aircon controls, they are mounted. They don't look the best. Obviously, I could definitely spend a lot more time and clean up around the edges. I can find something to fill in that gap. But overall, it fits pretty decently. Our screen looks really nice. Go ahead and turn it on. Go out of that. So it is just like an Android sort of touchscreen. I don't have an antenna, so I can't really play anything at the moment. But it has CarLink, so Android Auto CarPlay has all of that. You can also connect it up to your Wi-Fi if you want to do that. That's why it has a SIM card option. But I'm mainly just going to be using it for the Android Auto, but it seems fairly fast. Well, if I disconnect my mic, we can play some tunes and see how we go. We got the Bluetooth working. Of course, we got to play some absolute bangers. Anyway, but that's pretty much everything. The only thing I could really do is give us a good speaker upgrade. I do have some aftermarket ones in there at the moment, but I'm sure there's a lot better ones to go. But overall, it looks pretty clean, pretty OEM. I definitely could do a little bit better there, so I'm gonna have a look at that later. But aside from that, we're pretty much done. Oh, and I also have my GPS unit up there, which I just tucked behind the A-pillar. And there's also already a microphone, which is mounted there. So I just plugged that in instead of running a new one. But that is pretty much everything, and that's gonna do us. So pretty clean, pretty simple. I think it cost me around like 600 bucks total to do. So it's not exactly cheap, but it's definitely worth it, I think. It's just a quality of life upgrade. So it's definitely gonna be its money worth, really. So that's gonna do us for today. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.